sensitivity pain fast with Sensodyne Rapid Action for clinically proven relief in 60 seconds.
My job, my friend, as you wait for the call, my friend, isn't it just perturbing how sure you are that the call is going to be picked? My job, the recipient is probably held up. In our days, we...
To get Baba Otis Maajabu by Flacco, dial star 811 star 936 hash. Skiza Nan Nation.
The National Industrial Training Authority (NITA), under the Industrial Training Act Cat 237, is mandated to conduct national trade testing.
The national trade testing process is basically a competency-based assessment and certification process, which requires that all workers in the industry need to demonstrate their capacity to be able to deliver on specific skills that they've acquired.
It is true, we have been in business for over 20 years now, empowering Kenyans to own ideal and genuine properties. And yes, the biggest and the best urban residential development in Kiambu, Amani Ridge, the place of peace, is taking shape. Let us show you what we have been up to. The Solomonic Gate is complete. The intelligent fountain of peace is up and running. The stone perimeter wall is complete, fully enhanced with razor wire for your security. The 100,000 liter capacity water tank is coming up. We also have the house designs and the title deeds for every plot. Invest in value. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit us at www.optiven.co.ke.
Je, maumivu ya kichwa na kukosesha amani? Kaluma Strong hutuliza maumivu ya kichwa, maumivu ya mwili na hata huondoa joto jingi mwilini. Kaluma Strong ina aspirin kama kiungo. Maumivu ya kizidi, muone daktari.
This is NTV.
This is NTV Tonight. Hello and welcome to the broadcast. As always, we have plenty lined up for you tonight, but first, take a look at the growing coronavirus cases. Globally, the number of infections is at over 18.3 million, while the death toll is at 694,000. Over 11.5 million people have recovered. In Africa, over 964,000 people have been infected, while over 20,000 have died. The recoveries are at 618,000. And in the US, over 4.8 million people have COVID-19 and over 158,000 have died from it. Kenya's numbers continue to soar as well. We'll break it down after the highlights.
Tonight, lost in the front line.
She has left behind her less than a week-old infant.
COVID-19 claims a caregiver, and now health workers are worried sick.
Going forward, we will not work with any substandard PPEs.
Also tonight, a formula to divide county revenue splits the country.
The equitable share allocation to county governments for the fiscal year 2020 2021 remained at the same level, this particular factor makes cushioning the losing counties impractical.
And the last-ditch efforts to unlock the stalemate in the Senate ahead of Tuesday's session. Plus,
empty containers.
Na watoto ni wa kusahau haraka sababu watoto wanapenda kucheza.
The school year may be a waste, but some learners are making haste, catching up with schoolwork on a holiday month. And also tonight, the country's growing problem now that schools are still out.
NTV Tonight with Smriti Vidyarthi.
David Agondoa is our sign language interpreter tonight. To our top story, and healthcare workers in Homa Bay County have downed their tools beginning today following a series of complaints regarding unpaid dues and provision of substandard personal protective equipment by the county government. The recent death of a health worker has made things worse. Naoma Sampao has more.
Marian Awor Adumbo, a nurse working at the Rachuonyo Sub-County Hospital in Homa Bay, is among the 13 people who succumbed to the COVID-19 pandemic today. This has rattled healthcare workers from Homa Bay who had threatened to go on strike beginning 10th August. The healthcare workers downed their tools today.
She contracted at her place of work, commenced a total paralyzing strike in Homa Bay County.
The healthcare workers have accused the county government of Homa Bay of constantly ignoring them. With the rise in the number of healthcare workers contracting COVID-19, the nurses have accused the county government of negligence. Healthcare workers who are offering medical services in the COVID-19 isolation centers across the county have withdrawn their services.
That as well has driven us to question the quality of the personal protective equipment, the PPEs that we are given. It is on record that KEBS has faulted the county government for providing substandard PPEs to healthcare workers.
There could be PPEs that might be substandard being provided through other sources. We are very vigilant in making sure that the products that are used there, any health products and technologies that are out in use there, meet our requirements, our regulatory requirements and our standards.
The Ministry of Health has urged the nurses to abandon their strike, saying it will affect the war against COVID. The Health CIS Rashid Aman said the ongoing stalemate on revenue allocation formula might have contributed to the delayed dues.
We have just rolled over into a new financial year, so there may be some difficulties in meeting financial obligations, I think, as this process unfolds, and hopefully it will be resolved in good time so that those resources are available to the counties to meet their obligations.
The healthcare workers, however, say they will not relent until all their concerns are addressed.
Tulivolunteer salary tutangoja, lakini those who are working in isolation centers wanaambiwa mtalipwa lini? Mpaka leo hawajalipwa.
The government has warned that the changing seasons could complicate efforts to combat COVID-19. Patients with chronic illnesses such as tuberculosis, asthma and other respiratory diseases or conditions could suffer from severe complications. 10 of those reported to have died from COVID-19 today had serious underlying medical conditions. Naoma Sampao, NTV.
All right, well, let's now bring you those COVID-19 numbers. And 544 more people tested positive for the coronavirus disease out of a sample size of 2,653 tested. This brings the number of infections to 22,597. 499 of the new cases are Kenyan, while 45 are foreigners. An additional 263 people have been discharged from various hospitals, bringing the total number of recoveries to 8,740. 13 more people have died, raising the death toll to 382. Nairobi County is still recording the highest number of new infections with 412 on Monday. Kiambu County has recorded 27 new infections, Machakos 17, Kajiado 17, Garissa 16, Uasin Gishu 14, Mombasa 9, Nakuru 8 and Nyeri 5. Elsewhere, the Commission on Revenue Allocation now says failure by the National Treasury to increase the equitable share allocation in the current financial year and 2019 national census results are the key reasons why the debate over the county revenue allocation formula is polarized. The Commission says retention of the allocation for counties at 316.5 billion shillings implies there is no room to cushion some other counties. Our business editor, Julian Amboko, has more.
How to allocate 316.5 billion shillings among 47 counties is the bone of contention. And tomorrow afternoon on the floor of the Senate, it will be the moment of truth as senators seek to arrive at an amicable resolution to the increasingly polarized debate on the county revenue allocation formula. Now, the Commission on Revenue Allocation says that when all is said and done, it is important to bear two things in mind: the devolved functions and the need to finance their execution.
We note that the equitable share allocation to county governments for the fiscal year 2020-2021 remained at the same level as that of the financial year 2019-20. That is 316.5 billion. This particular factor makes cushioning the losing counties impractical.
Despite the possibility that tomorrow senators could decide to shelve the proposals by the Commission on Revenue Allocation entirely, the Commission argues that there are no substantial risks to be involved should the country decide to go whichever way senators decide tomorrow on the floor of the Senate.
Last year, if you recall, the court pronounced itself on this matter, that if there is no County Allocation of Revenue Act, counties can access 50% of the previous year allocation. So there is no vacuum in law. This formula was submitted to the Senate in April 2019. The entire 1 man, 1 shilling vote was not in the media. It was not anywhere that informed this debate.
It has been a long journey to get to this point ever since the Commission on Revenue Allocation tabled its proposals before the Parliament in April 2019. Now, tomorrow, Kenyans will be focusing on the Senate to see what resolutions, if any, come from the House. Julian Amboko, NTV.
Well, in the meantime, proponents of the disputed Senate Finance Committee revenue sharing formula have been engaging in extensive lobbying for the better part of the day ahead of Tuesday's vote. NTV understands that 3 senators have been targeted to change their stand in order to tip the scales in favour of the motion. But as NTV's senior political affairs reporter Kennedy Mureithi now tells us, those in the opposing corner are also marshalling numbers to defeat the motion once again.
Senator Orengo and Bogisho.
Proponents of the Finance Committee formula are exuding confidence of attaining the numbers by the time the vote begins on Tuesday afternoon. The leaders have confirmed to NTV that they are on course to winning over support from a section of senators who last week shot down a proposal by Senator Irungu Kang'ata to extend implementation by 2 years. As of this evening, up to 7 senators are being sought, and with a 25-22 result last week, 3 may do just the trick. Those being sought include Lamu Senator Anwar Loitiptip, Kajiado Senator Philip Mpaiye, Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, and Boniface Kabaka of Machakos. Another is Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja, whose proposed amendment will see the amount seconded to counties maintained at 316.5 billion shillings, and that any other monies, including conditional grants, be subjected to the formula by the Finance Committee. Kisii Senator Sam Ongeri is said to have crossed over and may be voting in favor of the committee formula, a departure from his vote just a week ago. But many others remain adamant in their opposition to the motion, more so those from pastoralist communities.
Wazee wetu zamani walikuwa wanasema tuachane na Kenya. Na vile sasa inakuwa ama vile tunaona tutawachana na Kenya sisi.
Interestingly, the counties that we want to increase their allocations happen to be the richest in these counties. Nairobi, Nakuru, Kiambu, Machakos, Elgeyo Marakwet, name them.
As we are speaking now, the marginalization pocket has moved from 14 to 34, including Kiambu, Muranga, and Nairobi. Therefore, the issue of them saying that we are getting a special fund and equalization fund is not true.
Those propagating for the amended version of the new resource allocation formula and supporting the so-called one man, one shilling politics are not only returning us to those dark days of inequitable development, but are also undermining the spirit and letter of our constitution.
Tharaka-Nithi Senator Kithure Kindiki, whose county will give up some 400 million shillings, admits through a Facebook post that there is immense pressure to change his stand, including threats of expulsion from the sponsoring political party. And so has Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala, who has confirmed to NTV that certain individuals he referred to as brokers have reached out to him. He says, and I quote, "History is being made and I must be on the right side of history."
Vita hii tuwezi ifanya sisi peke yetu. Hawa watu wanadaliwa, hawa watu wanapigiwa masimu. Mnajua kwamba Senator Sakaja amekuwa akifuatwa na polisi.
Pressure is also mounting on ODM leader Raila Odinga to make a pronouncement on the matter as MPs allied to Deputy President William Ruto go on an overdrive to threaten the handshake and fire up the Mount Kenya base against his non-committal word on the way forward for his troops. Kennedy Muredhi, NTV.
All right, we shall be focusing on that story and bring you the developments. Now, the High Court today suspended the implementation of President Uhuru Kenyatta's executive order that placed constitutional commissions and independent bodies under the control of the Attorney General and Cabinet Secretaries. Well, this is until the case is heard and determined. Justice James Makau said that it was possible that the President invoked his powers wrongfully and used the administrative process to restructure and reorganize independent constitutional offices. The Law Society of Kenya had challenged the legality of the President's executive order of May 11th that put more than 20 commissions under respective departments and ministries. Justice Makau said such a move amounts to a direct contravention of the constitutional principles and values on judicial independence, the rule of law, transparency and accountability. The Senate Ad Hoc Committee probing the Managed Equipment Services Project, that's MES, is expected to table a report detailing how top government officers and local and international companies colluded to defraud the country of 68 billion shillings in a scandal that has been shrouded more in mystery. The committee was expected to table the report before plenary tomorrow, but that has been postponed until after the Senate returns from recess in a month's time. Zainab Ismail reports on the messy MES.
It was touted a game changer in the health sector in the country. Each county would have benefited from top-notch equipment to enhance medical care in a 10-year project. In fact, it was one of President Uhuru Kenyatta's flagship projects.
Today, we deliver relief to families and communities which are held back by the high cost of getting treatment for loved ones.
But 6 years down the line, it's one big mystery. The puzzle of the 63 billion shillings managed equipment service has been the center of a probe by the Senate's ad hoc committee established to investigate the matter. And after hours of sittings, probing, interviewing and scrutinizing documents, the committee has retreated to compile a report that will hopefully shed some light on what transpired. The 9-member ad hoc committee, chaired by Isiolo Senator Fatuma Dulo, questioned several key government officials, former and current, who found themselves in a tight spot, at times with contradicting information and a whole lot of blame game. Among them were Transport Cabinet Secretary James Macharia and former Health PS Khadija Kasachun, who signed the multi-billion shilling contracts back in 2015 when Macharia was in charge of the health docket. Former Attorney General Githu Muigai, who accused CS Macharia and Kasachon of ignoring his legal advice before signing the contract. Assertions CS Macharia countered by providing these documents signed by the former AG, which indicate that the AG cleared the MES project. Then came the Kenya representative to the UN in Geneva, Switzerland, Cleopa Mailu, who was also Health Cabinet Secretary during implementation of the project and in whose time the contracts were varied and the cost of the project increased from 38 billion to 63 billion shillings.
How many times those contracts I asked them for, and those contracts were asked by the parliament, and how many times those documents, indeed the word were secret document.
Treasury Cabinet Secretary Okorie Atani also absolved himself from the mess at the Managed Equipment Supplies project, saying the buck stops with the Ministry of Health.
And you, as the custodian of our money, what do you have to say? Isn't this a prejudice to counties?
Maybe, Senator Tangula, with due respect, you ask the Minister of Health. Because we gave them the money, it's up to them to manage.
Immediate former Health CS Cecily Kariuki, ex-PS's Nicholas Muraguri and Fred Segor were also questioned on their role in the project. Also in the spotlight were the directors of the 7 international firms that supplied and installed the equipment. Zainab Ismail, NTV.
It is 1:15 the hour and we've got to head into a quick break now. As we do though, take a look at this rare footage of previously unidentified tigers prowling the Thai jungle. Well, several tigers walked past the camera traps, but one in particular, there you go, spotted the lens and stopped to investigate and also take a sniff of the device. Globally, numbers have plummeted from about 100,000 a century ago to fewer than 4,000 today. Striking pelts and body parts in China and Vietnam, which fuels poaching, is largely to blame.
Over the past few months, our country has stood together to keep the COVID numbers down. The numbers are important because they decide how the story unfolds. At Safaricom, our numbers also tell a story of hope, resilience, and recovery. Every day, new numbers tell us the same story, that we never let what we can't do come in the way of what we can. Let's keep going.
As Kenyans, we don't waste a chance to perform. When we moved from analog to digital, we took the opportunity to share our talanta. And the rise of local radio represented our voices mtaani. It is important that we don't forget that. And now, in these difficult times, free educational shows are helping our children learn from home. And new ICT and educational platforms are going to make sure that no one is left behind.
Mawasiliano kwetu, nguvu kwako. The Communications Authority of Kenya. Opening your world.
Happy anniversary. Baba Nancy, hebu acha nikuulize. Mbona hii mabati ya kina dad na mam bado inakaa mpya? Na hii nyumba imekuwa hapa for so many years. Na pia umelelewa hapa. Na sisi tumejenga tu juzi tu.
Wow, imagine hata nilikuwa sija notice.
Rufus, wewe ni fundi wangu wa miaka mingi sana. Haya mabati yatadumu kweli?
Huyu kijana nilimwambia anunue mabati ya dumu zas. Sijui ini gani alinunua na alitoa wapi.
Hebu angalia vile mabati yako yanakaa. Hata haijamaliza mwaka. Unaona huyu fundi? Hii nyumba yangu alinijengea kitambo. Naangalia paa bado linang'ara na limedumu.
Usibahatishe mabati. Hakikisha umeangalia alama za kudhibitisha DumuZas halisi. Chagua DumuZas, mabati inayodumu kudumu na inapatikana kwa hardware iliyo karibu nawe. Isitoshe, DumuZas ndio mabati pekee inayokuja na warranty.
Sitaki tena kubahatisha.
Na sote tuko same WhatsApp.
Hiyo WhatsApp ni nini?
Do your gums hurt?
Yeah.
Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile?
All that in one toothpaste?
Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate's fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums.
Ah, Colgate Herbal.
Let's go. Colgate Herbal for strong teeth and healthy gums naturally.
It is true. We have been in business for over 20 years now, empowering Kenyans to own ideal and genuine properties. And yes, the biggest and the best urban residential development in Kiambu, Amani Ridge, the place of peace, is taking shape. Let us show you what we have been up to. The Solomonic Gate is complete. The intelligent fountain of peace is up and running. The stone perimeter wall is complete, fully enhanced with razor wire for your security. The 100,000 liter capacity water tank is coming up. We also have the house designs and the title deeds for every plot. Invest in value. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit us at www.optiven.co.ke.
I'll count to 3, okay? Then after that, move your foot away. 1, 2, 3.
And it's your time now. But it doesn't have to be this way. I let you and your sister live peacefully. You just need to tell me who else you're working with against me and where to find each one of them.
Welcome back. At least 5 people were this afternoon injured after goons demanding for jobs stormed the Kisumu County Public Service Board offices and attacked board members. They also destroyed office equipment and smashed doors and tables using crude weapons. Oko Okusa has those details.
Those who witnessed the broad daylight attack told NTV that the disgruntled youths who were armed with claw hammers and clubs were demanding jobs.
They came in shouting that, give us our letters, give us our letters, we want our letters. And, they took charge, they took control of the entire board, terrorized the whole place.
Those injured during the attack that lasted less than 15 minutes were the chairman of the board, Babu Karan, the board secretary, Hesbon Hongo, Professor Edward Kochung, a board member, and 2 senior staff members.
So their main contention was that letters had been done, their letters, and they were being kept here by 2 individuals. That's Professor Kochung and Kennedy, who is in charge of human resource.
Professor Kochung and others who were injured were rushed to Kisumu County Hospital, where they were treated and discharged. The goons are said to have been under the command of Kisumu County ODM branch Vice Chairman Kennedy Ajwang.
We pay taxes for government buildings and offices to be protected because these people are bare. They would have been killed, and yet they are government officers.
Kisumu County Police Commander Ranson Lolmodoni said detectives had started investigations into the incident and will soon bring to book those behind the brazen attack. Okokusa, NTV.
Now, the dawn of the month of August would often mark the beginning of the second-term school break. But these are indeed extraordinary times, and learners have been home for over 4 months. Some, however, have been continuing with studies, regardless of the fact that the calendar year has been cancelled and final exams pushed forward to 2021. Leila Mohammed reports that they are looking forward to a break of a different kind.
For months now, the Tammy Agape Center in Nairobi's Mukuru Kwaruben slum has been abuzz
with activity. Even after the cancellation of the calendar year, learners from humble backgrounds who have no access to digital learning aids have been coming here to catch their lessons. Today we find it empty and quiet. It is the beginning of what would have been the second term school break, so learners are taking a breather.
Watoto wetu tukiwaweka siku nyingi bila kusoma, utakuta watoto wetu watasahau. Na watoto ni wakusahau haraka sababu watoto wanapenda kucheza na kurukaruka hata zaidi ya kuangalia vitabu.
Miles away in Kiambu, learning is underway. We find Peter Vincent's son participating in the day's Kiswahili lesson. Teachers and parents here say there is no time to waste.
Traditionally, we know that August is the month the kids are supposed to rest. Given the fact that now they have been home for the last 8 months, learning, digital learning, online learning will continue.
But as learning continues, they are well aware that the final examinations will not be done this year. Only when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, they say.
So much as they were agitated, they had to come to terms. They are wondering when the schools will be open. Much as we have the digital online learning, that is partial because now it is in the second month. We are happy that the kids have been engaged.
But with every click of the gadgets, dangers are abound for young minds. Reports of hackers infiltrating online lessons with inappropriate content have been on the rise globally.
We have to monitor the gadgets of our kids. And of course, given the social media, we must be able to know what content they are logging into.
In Makueni County, the closure of schools has brought with it another challenge. Girls who benefited from the sanitary towels program no longer do. Today they get the aid of sanitary towels from a well-wisher. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
Right, to the courts now, and a court in Nakuru has ordered that 14 suspects arrested in connection with the violent clashes that rocked Njoro region last week be detained for 10 days to allow police conclude investigations. Senior resident magistrate Lillian Arika directed that the suspects, among them former Nesut ward representative Joseph Miangari and a Kenya Defence Police officer, be detained at Bondeni Police Station and Njoro Police Station. The orders followed the application by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, who sought to hold the suspects for 14 days pending investigations. Police claim the suspects, jointly with others who are still at large, were responsible for organising and funding the clashes, which left 5 people dead and thousands displaced. Now, controversial video blogger Edgar Obare has pleaded not guilty to unlawfully publishing private and personal details from the passport of a local renowned YouTuber. According to the charge sheet, on diverse dates between July 9th and July 13th, 2020, Obare used his social media accounts, a domain name and a verified Instagram account, to unlawfully disclose to his online followers personal data belonging to the individual without their consent. Obare was arrested on Thursday in Kisumu and taken to the DCI headquarters here in Nairobi for questioning. He has been released on a 100,000 shilling bond. According to the law, any person who flouts the Data Protection Act shall be liable to a fine not exceeding 3 million shillings or to an imprisonment term not exceeding 10 years or both.
Hearing 2nd of November. Yes, Council.
Experts are now warning that the country is sitting on a time bomb with regard to teenage pregnancies in the country. Reproductive rights advocacy groups say that there is an alarming increase in child marriages as a result. Kevin Mutai has those details.
16-year-old Janet, not her real name, covers her face as she recounts how she met the young man who bought her fries and gave her money before leaving her pregnant. Shortly before the pandemic hit Kenya in March, her former parents sent her to Nairobi to find a job as they could no longer afford her school fees. She ended up with a pregnancy.
Naona mimi ni mtoto mdogo kupata mimba.
She is no longer willing to go back home because of the stigma.
Nilisikia wananicheka. Nilitoka kwetu nisina mimba. Kakuja huko nikupata mimba.
Janet is among thousands of teenagers who fall pregnant every year in Kenya, a problem experts fear is worsening during the coronavirus pandemic.
The coronavirus has affected girls in Kenya through several ways. We have seen, one, an increase in number of teenage pregnancies within this period of time that the girls have been home. This has resulted mostly in the girls being away from schools, which closed in March at the onset of coronavirus.
Data indicates that thousands of girls have fallen pregnant during the period between March and May. In Nairobi alone, almost 5,000 girls were found to be pregnant, with nearly 500 of them between the ages of 10 and 14.
There is fears, anecdotal evidence that there is going to be increase in child marriages, particularly arising out of the consequences of the teen pregnancies, and therefore girls opting to be married because they're already pregnant. We are also fearing that there's going to be an increase in sexually transmitted infections, because that's the missing link, that's the hidden conversation around these teen pregnancies.
Opondo argues that the missing link is the lack of sex education in the country, and that many girls are lured into transactional sex due to poverty.
And they tell us most of them are transactional sex. They're still boyfriends, but they're still transactional at the end of the day. They want some money out of it, they want some little pocket money. And then there are some who have it because they can't really access sanitary towels. In school, sometimes they get free distributions, but when they're home and they can't afford them, they have to have this transactional sex to be able to afford them.
The government has responded by directing local administrators to crack the whip on men and boys luring minors into risky sexual behavior. Kevin Mutai, NTV.
All right, from that, we head into the business news next up on NTV, but stay tuned for this. These are pictures of the interior of the Virgin Galactic spaceship cabin. Virgin has unveiled its Spaceship 2 Unity's cabin, revealing what passengers will see and feel when they buy a seat on a future flight. And guess what? Each ticket will cost a whopping $250,000. And if I'm not wrong, that's around 26 million shillings. Stay with us, more when we return.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
For a better tomorrow, don't forget to do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate every night.
Ndovu flowers are fortified with vitamins and minerals to provide wholesome goodness for the whole family. Ndovu all-purpose flour makes the most delicious chapatis, mandazis and all other pastries. Ndovu is readily available at your nearest shop. Ndovu Tosha.
Ah, Helen Paul.
Hello, madam. Would you like to join us on this mission?
Yes, but how?
Just one question for you. How do you keep your toilet clean?
I use regular detergent and bleach for washing and removing yellow stains. I've been using it for years.
Oh, madam, the regular detergents and bleach are used for washing clothes. To disinfect your toilet properly, you need Harpic 10X. It is specially made for germs and stains removal. Harpic's thick formula settles on stains and gives 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergents and bleach.
Wow, now I'm convinced, Helen Paul.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that she's part of the mission, the next house is yours.
Are
living a blessed life. Get this and more Christian music only on Angaza Music, Africa's first exclusive gospel service. In addition to music, get your best Bible stories, preachings and devotionals, church services, DJ mixes and more. Get Angaza Music for 10 shillings daily plus 50 MB data bundle. Dial star 544 hash, then select option 6 on your Safaricom line. Angaza Music, Baraka Mkononi.
Beat sensitivity pain fast with Sensodyne Rapid Action for clinically proven relief in 60 seconds.
Business news now. And Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya has protested a High Court order stopping a committee leading reforms in the tea sector from commencing its work, arguing that the order was meant to stall the reforms. The ministry has already challenged the orders in court and has announced the commencement of implementation of new regulations in both the tea and sugar sectors to ensure that farmers get fair and decent earnings for both their labour and investments. Victor Kiprop with more.
While agriculture remains the backbone of Kenya's economy, contributing more than 26% of the country's GDP, low returns and mismanagement has left it as one of the least profitable agricultural sectors in the world. From being sugar sufficient in 1980 to satisfying just about half of its consumption needs today, sugar, just like coffee, tea and maize, have been on a steady decline, largely at the expense of small-scale farmers. The current government, just like the previous regimes, is rolling out ambitious reforms that it says will save the sector from collapse.
Government will not relent on this particular matter until this sector is nursed back to life and farmers are able to reap benefits from their sweat.
Last month, the Kenya Tea Development Agency KTDA, which is the biggest casualty in the ongoing reforms in the tea sector, obtained an order under a certificate of urgency blocking an 8-member team picked to oversee the reforms from commencing its work until a case it filed is heard and determined.
This particular court gave orders and said we give submissions and then the court will express itself in September. Then how urgent is that matter? What motivated the court to give those orders? Clearly, the intention is to stall the process, the reform process that we have undertaken. Luckily, the reforms are already on board.
The country's struggling sugar sector is also undergoing some reforms after 2 sets of regulations touching on the production of the crop in the country, as well as imports and exports, took effect over the last 2 months.
No importation will be done outside the regulations so that we strictly control what is imported with strict guidelines to ensure that what is imported is really for meeting the gap that is within the country, other than benefiting those who import and trade in sugar. 5 state-owned sugar mills, including Chemelil, Miwani, Muhoroni, Nzoia and South Nyanza, whose operations have been crippled by debts and mismanagement, are also being listed out as part of the reforms. Victor Kiprop, NTV Business.
Listed coffee firm IGADS has reported an 18.4 million shilling loss for the year ended March 2020, down from a profit of 28.5 million shillings in the same period in 2019. This comes against the backdrop of subdued production by the company, which saw it produce only 114 tonnes of coffee compared to 419 tonnes produced a year earlier. Shareholders will have to go without a dividend payment for the period ended March 2020 as management seeks to restore the business back to profitability. IGADS has 32.2 million shares listed on the Nairobi Securities Exchange with a market value of 338 million shillings. Now, a week after the Lamu County Assembly passed a motion to nullify a proposed 21 billion shilling wind power project over resettlement issues, some residents want the national government to intervene and get the project back on track. The County Assembly concluded that the land on which the investor intended to resettle those affected by the project had already been demarcated, surveyed and titled, and thus there was no free land for resettlement. The 90 megawatts project by Baharini Wind Power, a partnership between Elikio Company from Belgium and Kenwind Holdings Limited, a local firm, had secured a 20-year power purchase agreement with Kenya Power.
Tumekuwa tukingojea na kutarajia huu mradi utatutoa mahali tulipo, utupeleke kiwango kingine cha maisha. Miaka 8 tumeadhirika. Kama ilikuwa ni mradi kufutiliwa mbali, ungefutiliwa kitambo na sisi tukatafuta lingine la kufanya.
Kulikuwa na makubaliano kwamba serikali ya county itatoa pahali watu wataenda kuwa resettled. We will provide the land, alternative land for resettlement kwa ile watu wako kwa project area, the project affected people.
The public and shareholders of TransCentury will have to wait longer before they can comb through the company's financial results for the year ended December 2019. According to a statement dated 30th July 2020 and signed by the company secretary, this has been occasioned by the delay in completion of audit in its subsidiary, which consolidates into group's audited financial statements. On the 10th of July, TransCentury made public plans to delist from the Nairobi Securities Exchange as it seeks to pursue new sources of capital. TransCentury was listed on the Nairobi Securities Exchange back in 2011. Hotel room with some animals. Well, it is wall-to-wall walrus in an unusual hotel room that has opened in a Belgian animal park. The animal park allows guests paying from $152 per person to spend the night in one of the 6 igloo-themed rooms, looking into the pool that holds a pair of walruses. The sea animals are far from shy, often bumping up against the reinforced glass to check out these humans beneath the surface.
From far with you. I even gifted you a magnificent house. Rosa, it's the thought that counts. Please help me.
When it comes to fever, you need to be both. Panadol Baby and Infant starts to work on fever in 15 minutes and is gentle on the tummy. Panadol Baby and Infant, tough on fever, gentle on your child.
Members of the public are notified that various institutions have reported over 800 million units of unclaimed shares among other assets to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, UFAA. The authority wishes to advise apparent owners or beneficiaries to lodge claims on these shares. To find out if you are an owner or beneficiary, dial *361# or visit www.ufaa.go.ke. To claim shares, rightful owners should obtain a holder's letter from share registrars and submit a claim online via UFAA's website using relevant forms. Reunification of reported unclaimed shares will run until 31st August 2020. Shares not claimed by 31st August 2020 may be sold by the authority as per the law. Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite.
Pata smartphone mpya kuanzia 20 bob daily pekee ukilipa mdogo mdogo. Weka down payment ya 1000. Lipa kuanzia 20 bob daily kwa miezi 9. Piga *544# kuona kama unafaulu kupata 4G Neon Ray Pro. Si hapo Safaricom ni yako kabisa.
breaking news from Molfix. Let's see what they're developing right now.
Molfix pants with anatomic fit technology. New Molfix pants, an invention from babies for babies.
You should also try Molfix.
Tomorrow, we focus on the impact of the pandemic on the church, the role of the church in these uncertain times, and what the future holds for religious institutions. Join us then.
And not many people enjoy a visit to the police station. The frustrations can range from a long period of waiting to a lot of paperwork and files that disappear, then miraculously reappear once some Kenya shillings change hands. But now there is hope in the air following the introduction of digital services at police stations. Ngina Kirori explains.
For years, bribery and impunity hindered true justice from being administered to citizens as the mishandling of physical files became the norm. But today, that may have changed.
On the night of 23rd December 2019, I initiated the first trial use of digital occurrence book at Kasarani Police Station.
This new web-based system has a number of benefits. Police administration will be automated through technology. Duty rosters and officers required on patrol will also be made available on the system. Automation of police operations. This will include desk and patrol operations and investigations which will feature forensics, among others. Opening a file at the police station to record a complaint has been the basis of extortion. Cabinet Secretary for Interior Dr. Fred Matiang'i says the new system will slay the beast of corruption.
That animal has been a cause of misery everywhere. It's the basis on which people seek rent. There's some funny thing called the file. You know, nunua chai, file ipatikane. We have begun the final funeral to that thing called the file.
The kind of infrastructure that has been put in place ensures that this data and this information is secure. This one, hata ukijaribu kutafuta hiyo server hautaipata.
Only the Inspector General will be able to access all matters concerning the National Police Service and the Directorate of Criminal Investigation.
Members of the public will be able to submit reports to officers in the field, and the report is reflected at the station instantly for action. This brings services closer to the members of the public.
CS Matiang'i took the opportunity to propose an expansion of crimes that constitute terrorism.
I actually suggest that people who fiddle around with the registration of motor vehicles, we charge them under the anti-terrorism law. Because there is no reason why people will fiddle around with the registration of motor vehicles if they are not intending to facilitate serious crime like terrorism.
The new system will handle the promotion of police officers and payment of fines as a way to fight corruption. Ngina Kirori, NTV.
Perhaps hope is indeed in the air. We'll have to wait and see. Now, police officers accused of excessive force, which led to the death of 2 civilians in Garissa and Kisumu, are under investigation by the Internal Affairs Unit of the National Police Service. The Director, Mohammed Amin, says that the unit has made major strides in its investigations.
For the last 4 months, yes, we received a couple of complaints relating to police alleged excessive use of police powers. Our investigations are at various levels. The most 2 recent were the Lesos incident. The Internal Affairs Unit was involved in that investigation, and we investigated the matter, and 1 officer is already before court. The last incident is recently that of Garissa, where police officers shot dead 2 civilians. Members of the unit proceeded to Garissa, the matter was investigated, and 2 officers have already been arraigned before court.
All right, to the papers now. And Kenya will resist pressure to push Safaricom to cut its contract with China's Huawei in the rollout of the country's 5th generation, that's 5G network. Joe Musheru, the Cabinet Secretary for ICT, told the Business Daily that Kenya wouldn't stop the 5G rollout amid tensions between the US and China over Huawei's involvement. For this and much more, get your copy of the Business Daily tomorrow. All right, coming up after this break, it's the sports news, but take a look at these great wax figures. Artists were busy putting the finishing touches to statues at the Madame Tussauds Waxworks Museum in London as it prepared to reopen to the public on Saturday. Visitors will be temperature checked. Social distance advice is visible throughout the attraction, and visitors will no longer be allowed to touch some of the models of their heroes when taking selfies.
Various institutions have reported over 800 million units of unclaimed shares among other assets. To find out if you are an owner or beneficiary, dial *361# or visit www.ufaa.go.ke.
Get this and more Christian music only on Angaza Music. Get Angaza Music for 10 shillings daily plus 50 MB data bundle. Dial *544#, then select option 6 on your Safaricom line. Angaza Music, Baraka Mkononi.
It is true, we have been in business for over 20 years now, empowering Kenyans to own ideal and genuine properties. And yes, the biggest and the best urban residential development in Kiambu, Amani Ridge, the place of peace, is taking shape. Let us show you what we have been up to. The Solomonic Gate is complete. The intelligent fountain of peace is up and running. The stone perimeter wall is complete, fully enhanced with razor wire for your security. The 100,000-liter capacity water tank is coming up. We also have the house designs and the title deeds for every plot. Invest in value. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit us at www.optiven.co.ke.
I'll count to 3, okay? Then after that, move your foot away. 1, 2, 3.
And it's your time now. But it doesn't have to be this way. I let you and your sister live peacefully. You just need to tell me who else you're working with against me and where to find each one of them.
My job, my friend. As you wait for the call, my friend, it just perturbing how sure you are that the call is going to be picked. My job. The recipient is probably held up. In our days, we...
To get Baba Otis Maajabu by Flaco, dial *811*936#. Skiza Non-Nation.
Finding the truth in these uncertain times has become certain. Possibilities for business even more convenient with the Nation e-paper. To enjoy this and more, simply dial *550*1# for Daily Nation and *550*5# for Business Daily on your mobile phone and get 50% discount on the e-paper. Yes, for just 20 shillings each, the truth will find you and more possibilities right where you are. Dial *550*1# for Daily Nation and *550*5# for Business Daily today. Terms and conditions apply.
That's right. Welcome to NTV Sport. I'm Watson Karuma. Now, champions Gor Mahia are the only Kenyan club that have been listed by CAF ahead of Continental Football Kickoff, which, by the way, could be postponed due to COVID-19. This season's competition was set to kick off on the 7th of this month as league champions Gor Mahia is set to play in the Champions League. Central African Republic, Ethiopia and South Sudan have not entered any clubs in that competition. At the same time, the CAF Emergency Committee has approved the revised calendar for the inter-clubs competitions, which was affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Egypt and Morocco will now host the semis and finals of the 2019-20 season after Cameroon pulled out as host. The matches will be played behind closed doors. Sharon Chepchumba Kiprono cannot wait to play at the Olympics, her biggest stage yet. The rising volleyball star, who also plays for KCB, believes Kenya can excel at the Tokyo Games come next year. Due to COVID-19, Chepchumba has been keeping fit at home.
22-year-old Sharon Chepchumba Kiprono was a football goalkeeper before she committed to volleyball. She was a Form 2 student at volleyball powerhouse Kwanzanze when she made the big move.
Nilifunzwa na Mr. Kigwari, the coach of the year, amepewa award like coach of the year. Yeah, Soya. Yenda alinifunza volleyball kwanza hiyo Form 2 hadi Form 4. Sasa vile tulifika nationals, tukacheza, tulipiga timu zote 3-0, tukacheza nikaitwa MVP. Alafu tukaenda East Africa, pia ilikuwa Uganda. Tukacheza tukapiga kila mtu 3-0, nikakuwa tena MVP.
Mwaka gani huo?
Ilikuwa 2017.
Her exploits in high school earned her a deal with the Kenya prisons.
So nilienda nikajoin prison hiyo 2018. Tukaenda club championship nikiwa na wao, tukakuwa number 3. So nikarudi, nilionekana huko, by the way ndio niingizwe national team. Nilionekana huko juu nilikuwa nacheza left. Kaonekana huko nikakuja nikachukuliwa na coach wa national team, unajua pia alikuwa coach Lungao.
Playing alongside experienced and other upcoming players in the national team, she knew she had no option but to fight for her place in the national team.
Niliingia hapo nikajikaza tu, nikasema hii lazima tu bidii. Juu hakuna mtu amekewa hiyo position like hii ni yako forever.
Her hard work saw her selected to represent Kenya at the World Championship in Japan 2 years ago.
Hapo hivyo tulikuwa tunacheza na Dominica. Nakumbuka kabisa coach wetu baada ya kuwa ameamini juniors. Seniors wetu nikawa alikuwa amechoka juu tulianza game kitambo, tumepigwa na ni wao tu wamekuwa kichezo, unajua hakuna sub, juu sub ni juniors. Coach Dimosh akasema wacha tupatie juniors pia hii chance, na pia kulikuwa na team manager Mr. Kilundo. Akamwambia juu seniors wanapigwa na kama wamechoka, wacha tupatie juniors hii chance, at least pia wapate hiyo experience. Walituingiza juniors wote kwa uwanja.
She was also part of the team that retained the African title in Rabat, Morocco last year. Kenya beat a resilient Cameroon 3-1 in the final.
Sasa si tukienda huko, unajua tulikuwa tunajua hawa walituchapa Egypt, tukienda vibaya tutapigwa tena. So unaambia mwenzako si leo tu ni receive please. Leo tu ni receive. Na chumba ukipewa attack tu zote. Attack. Usitaki kujua nani yako hapo. Ni ile unapea mwenzako tu motisha juu unaona tu watu wako low. Ikuwa rahisi, by the way ilikuwa game ngumu sana.
A few weeks later, Chepchumba was playing at the world stage as Kenya beat Cameroon again, this time at the Volleyball World Cup in Japan.
So si tulikuwa tunajikaza tu at least tufike 15, tufike 20. At least picha ikuwe tu poa, tusichome picha. So tulikuwa tumepigwa games zote, tulikuwa tumebaki tu na Cameroon. Tukasema juu sisi tumepigwa zote, tukufe na hawa Cameroon.
Her determination earned her a place under coach Paul Bitok for the Olympic qualifiers in Cameroon.
I'm very sure in future our players wadogo wenye wanakuja tutaenda far na tunaweza break record.
The rest, as they say, is history.
Now, Tokyo 2020 organizers on Monday unveiled the new schedule for the coronavirus postponed Paralympics next year, with only minor modifications to the original calendar for the event. The historic decision to delay the 2020 Games over the pandemic means the Paralympics are now scheduled to run from the 24th of August and to the 5th of September 2021. The program will feature 539 events across 22 sports, with modifications made only to start and finish times for some events. The postponement of the Games has created a massive headache for organizers as they navigate everything from securing venues to devising coronavirus countermeasures. For the Paralympics in particular, officials said they are mindful that they must cater to the needs of individual athletes and spectators with a range of different health and physical requirements. Tokyo organizers said they are also working with the International Paralympic Committee to assess how the viral pandemic has affected athletes in various countries. Italy's oldest professional club, Genoa, survived Serie A relegation on the final day of the season for the second year running after beating Verona 3-0. Genoa's goals were scored by Antonio Sanabria, who netted twice, and Christian Romero, who added the third before. Thank you for your time. Have a lovely night.
All right, Watson's sports broadcast closes NTV tonight. Thanks so much for your company. David Agondoa has been our sign language interpreter this evening. I'm Smriti Vidyarthi. Do have yourselves a good night, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.